Okay, now let's create a file system and mount it. You can see that I have created the file system F0. Then we create a new file system FS1. Select a folder, allocate a capacity TB, and save. This way we can easily create a file system. So what does this file group do? It can determine a hierarchical strategy for partitioning this file into the object storage. For example, every 15 minutes to check whether layering is required. So how long is the local SSD save? This is such a configuration on it. Then after creating the file system, we come to the client side. Well, this is a client side of one of my. We will mount the file system using the client side. We go back to the home page on this interface. We can see that we don't have a client side mount now. Okay, now let's install it first. The first step is to install the POSIX client side, because every distributed file system has its own client side. Need to install. So our first step is to install it. It has now been successfully installed. And then what about our second step? We need to create a mount point at the mount point of the machine. The mount point is created. Then in the third step, we mount. What about these parameters? The first three are fixed. What about this IP address? It's the IP addresses of the 5 machines in our distributed file system. And this is the name of the file system I want to mount, FSE. Then this is my local mount point. What about this parameter? It specifies that I want to use it when mounting with how many of the current CPU buckles I want to use. And then finally, this is the network, which network do I want to use for the mount. Now I'm using a 200 grams environment like IB0. We can look at IB1 and IB0. IB is the IB network interface card of 200G. We can mount it. Now I am using IB1. Okay, we'll use it to mount now. It will take a while to add the client side to the cluster. So we need to wait a moment. Okay, we can see that the mount is successful. Then I go back to the interface. We can also see an extra client side on the page. Okay. Then we go to the mount point directory F. So if we go and show all the mounts, you can see a mount here, and the capacity can be seen here. Then we can directly create a directory in this directory. You can edit the file. Save. In this way, we can make a normal access to this file system. Then if you want to unmount it, you can also use a command like mount to unmount a file system. Let's cancel it. Let's go back and exit this directory first. Then cancel the mount. Okay, after the cancellation is successful, let's go back and see the mount point just now disappeared. So if we want to remount, we need to execute such a mount command again. Wait a minute. Okay, the mount was successful. This is what we remount. Okay, what about this section? What we see is the creation amount of the entire file system, a complete process, including. Then in the next section, we will see that we are going to share one that is how to divide the data of the file system into object storage.